started watching this show since it came out, and let me tell you, I have been hooked on it. And since season 2 has dropped, there are so many different theories and just more questions that keep popping up all over the place. But what's definitely the case is that it's getting more interesting as time goes on. So we have Randall here, who is as Donna, aka human version of adult Sarah from Land Before Time says, is a powder keg. He is like the worst person to put conspiracy theories in his head, and the thing is, you can't exactly blame him for feeling this way, but he seems to think that what's going on in this little experiment, quote unquote, to Jim, is they are being watched, and there are people who are here in this town who are in on this experiment. Jim doesn't really believe him, but he doesn't not believe him either, and Jim wants to make sure that he gets all the facts straight, even though he's going off of assumptions too. At least Jim is trying to do something, and this is like a testament to people being in situations where they have no control. You have to always be finding a way to fix something. I believe Jim is also an engineer like Jade is, but like on a lower tier, and his mind works in a way that he has to fix things. He has to be actively trying to find a solution to a problem. So you can't really blame him there. Sarah is not welcome in the town, so she wants to go out to the forest again, and I honestly think Boyd should just let her. I mean, I get where Boyd's coming from. It's not her fault that she felt victim to the spiel that's happening with this place. I mean, it drives everybody crazy. He was also in that boat. There were several times where he could have accidentally killed someone because he was hallucinating, and Sarah basically fell victim to that. He admits that this place is trying to turn everybody against each other, so he's sticking up for Sarah. Then I kind of felt bad because I'm wondering, well, they let the other guy freaking die, but he died because of negligence to protect his family and because he didn't follow the rules. Sarah was literally freaking going crazy, so it isn't really her fault, but I mean, that's like excusing a serial killer for eating people as well. Hey, the other engineer guy is like, dude, you saw signs in this tunnel when you were in there with Victor, but Victor didn't tell me? Ooh, I'm gonna bite his ass. Ethan's big sister has finally warmed up to Victor because he did save her when the event at Colony House happened, and she thanks him for that. Plus, he also saved her mom. He gives Ethan a coat, one that used to belong to him, and Ethan gives him a picture. But based on what Victor is saying, he doesn't want a picture because everything that is in the pictures usually ends up dying.
I don't want this.
Why?
Because pictures are for things that are gone.
But what if something happens to me? You forget a lot of stuff. I wouldn't want you to forget me.
I said, don't talk like that.
So because Ethan and Hannah are best friends, he's like, dude, I won't take the jacket if you don't take the picture. And it's so humbling and kind of sad to hear Ethan talk like this, because this is like the first time you understand the kid understands or comprehends what's going on. He understands it is completely possible that he might be one of the people that ends up dying. It's very dark, but it's also very humbling and speaks to his maturity. That's why it kind of frustrates me when the parents are like, don't tell the kids this. Like, bro, you are aware that you're in a situation where the kids probably should know as much as possible in order for them to survive. There's also a major bombshell about Victor's past, and it's so heartbreaking. And Victor doesn't want to remember, but then we have Jade and Ethan's mom following him, and Jade has absolutely no tact when it comes to people.
What is wrong with you? Is it just physically impossible for you not to be an asshole for longer than 10 minutes?
Great, you're yelling at me again.
Fuck off.
That's all he cares about. Victor's honestly my favorite character, and to see the revelation when he goes to show Tabitha, I think her name is, all the pictures that he thought he hid, he realizes that these are not his pictures, they're his sister's. And he is living with the guilt of not having protected his sister, Eloise. We had no idea up until this point that Victor even had a sibling.
And you stay here all night. And when I come back, we're gonna go home. I love you. Oh. Oh my God, Victor. It's okay. It's okay. Okay.
That was so sad. And what was worse is the sister can't blame her. She went after her mom because she didn't want her mom to go alone, and she left, and Victor just watched her leave, even though the mom had just said, protect your sister. So he's carrying that guilt from a little boy of not having run after his sister because he was terrified. So he didn't come out there until morning, and of course, his mom's gone, and his sister's probably gone too. And Victor was left there alone, and he blames himself. This was heartbreaking for me. Like, I just started tearing up. It was terrible. It was really bad. So we can understand not just losing his mother and being in this situation and thinking this is his home, but that's probably what arrested his development even further, being stuck in the past like that mentally because of the trauma. So by now we know that one of the things can be killed. It was frustrating for me why Boyd didn't tell everyone else this. He and Kenny are talking again, but they want to make sure they don't get people's hopes up and they know there's a way to replicate this so people don't just go out there and get themselves killed. Boyd, the hallucinatory worms that were inside his arm that were passed to him from Martin, the guy that was chained up to the wall, he passed them into this thing and they went into the body. But now Kenny, Elgin, and Christy's fiance are having these dreams, the same ones that Boyd was having. And it's specific to the same music box that Boyd was seeing as well. The creepy part is whenever they have these hallucinations, the music box is playing, something ends up attacking them in their sleep, and when they wake up, they have the manifestation of those attacks from their dream. So basically, some kind of Freddy Krueger stuff is going on. I'm so glad I recently watched that, so now I'm part of the crowd that can happily say I have watched Nightmare on Elm Street. What's really interesting, though, is what is said over the phone that I needed the captions to hear.
Hello? Who is this?
For those who didn't hear, the message says, they touch, they break, they steal. No one here is free. Here they come for 3, unless you stop the melody. You know, obviously the melody means the music box. We don't know who they is. It could be a plague, as we also understand that their crops are no longer growing. They are facing a starvation event. We saw Kenny getting attacked by these locusts, or cicadas, that they later find in the storage room, emerging from out of the dead body of the Fae that they killed. And I just call them Faes for the sake of calling them Faes right now, because we don't really know what these things are. But these cicadas are everywhere, and it looks as though they were either feeding on the body, or they had somehow been dormant in the body. Kenny lets everyone know eventually that he had seen those things in his dream. Elgin, from what we saw in the last episode, said that he was having a dream about being submerged or drowned in a bathtub, and when he woke up or someone was trying to shake him awake, he spat up water. So he wasn't actually in a bathtub, he was dreaming about it. You know that Chrissy's fiance also had hallucinations with the same music box. So Kenny and Elgin are now having these nightmares that Boyd had. Now what does all of this mean? When we met Martin, he had worms crawling in his skin and then he gave them to Boyd. Martin clearly seemed to have been a real person, or at least at some point. We know that this was a hallucination, or at least somewhat, because someone threw Boyd the rope and we have no idea who it was. Martin's chained up, so it couldn't have been him. And Martin clearly wants to die. Whoever put him here kept him alive, or is keeping him alive, possibly via the worms.
The tree.
You go one place, come out another. Sometimes you get stuck. Sometimes you get trapped. That's when they get you.
So Martin is giving us clues. Clearly, the people he's talking about, or the entities that he's talking about, are not the things that have been hunting people throughout the entirety of the first season and the majority of the show so far. Whatever these things are, chained Martin up and we're doing experiments on him and probably put those worms in him. The things possibly responsible for trapping these people here. Boyd discovers that Martin was a Marine, and he says, dude, if you want to help me, bro, just kill me before they come back. You seem very kind. Clearly, Martin has been alive for a long, long time. He claims he can't bear to count the years. It's possible he's been there for longer than a human should be alive.
You think those things that come out of the forest at night did this? They're just the tip of the spear.
Hearing Martin say this is actually very haunting, and he's giving us clues as he speaks, saying that the things that come out and hunt you in the forest, they're not the real things you need to be afraid of. They're just the tip. That's what she said.
You a nasty ass bitch.
What's interesting is that there's so many layers to it, and I think that the creators might be hinting at different things being the possibility without giving you a clear answer, so that any one of these people could be right, or all of the people could be right. It could be a simulation. Other people were talking about pocket universes. Tabitha, Jim's wife, mentioned that they could be in a sort of purgatory. Father Khatri mentioned something about a Bible that's currently being written, and they're probably in the part that's being written. Ethan thinks it's a quest. There's so many layers to this, and the show does this to keep people talking because everybody thinks they have the answer, and then when you feel like you're getting a little bit closer to it, which you really don't, you actually feel like you're just probably like 20% closer to wherever it is you think you're close to, and then they hit you with another gotcha. It might not be that either. It might not be any of these things, or it might be all of these things, or it might be some of them or nothing, or none of this is real, or it's a dream, or maybe it's not. Who knows, right? Big ass acid trip, am I right? But now what is clear moving forward is that the music box somehow has some symbolism what is happening, because now there are several people after Boyd having given his worms to the Fae are now seeing this music box and hearing it, and for some reason it's connected to their dreams being manifested in reality. Listen to what Martin says.
You don't have time, Boyd. There's darkness in the forest. Nightmares you can't even begin to imagine. Things we were never meant to see. Things that you have to get out before the music stops.
Martin then asks Boyd if this was all a dream, if Abby, Boyd's wife, was right. Then Boyd sees these worms or larvae crawling under Martin's skin. The music box stops. Martin cuts open Boyd and puts his blood inside of him and says, your blood is my blood, or my blood is your blood now. There you go. It'd be messed up if you had HIV. But anyway, this is significant because Martin dies right after giving Boyd these worms. And old Ron Perlman's child, Mr. Smiley over there, dies right after Boyd puts his blood inside the thing. And he actually looks kind of taken aback at first and confused when Boyd does this, which was really, really good. I enjoy that part so much. But then nothing happens and he's like, all right, this is new.
Hey, yo, what the?
Okay, so clearly something worked there. And funny enough, what kept Martin alive for longer than he should have been instantly killed these things that cannot die. What seems to be clear is that this little town is powered by people's fears, which is why it's totally plausible that a theory could be that an entity of Eldritch origin that likes to feed on fear is the driving force behind all of this. Maybe all of them are correct on some level with their imaginings and speculation. Maybe this entity really does live in this tiny interdimensional pocket. Maybe aspects of the government are trying to appease it to keep it localized to this town so it doesn't spread outwards. And to do that, it has to monitor the people on some level. I'm not really sure how that would tie into it. Just it being the government full stop is too convenient of an answer, and aliens is too convenient of an answer because that's what everyone at this point expects it to be. But I want to hear some of your theories. There's so much head work that has to go into this freaking show, and I absolutely love it. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.